Madam President of We Lead Caribbean and Chief Executive Officer of Community Health Care. I'm giving your titles. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, good morning. First, I have to express my thanks to Abigail Long and her organization for inviting me to speak at the opening plenary of this conference entitled Powerful Transition from Inspiration to Action. It says something about the way in which human society has evolved that almost 40 years after the adoption of the United Nations Convention on the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women and its ratification by member states, women in many parts of the world, including ours, are still discriminated against and still demanding equal rights. We continue to struggle for the right to education, and in some parts of the world, girls who embrace education, educators, and those who support them are the subject of threats and physical and psychological violence. For representation in decision-making bodies, for gender parity, for equal pay for work of equal value. And I continue to look to the day when the value of the unwaged work, which many women do in the various spheres of their lives, is recognized and quantified. And last, but certainly by no means least, for the recognition and protection of our sexual and reproductive rights. Here in Guyana, we also confront the scourge of domestic violence, which cuts across class, race, creed, age, and geographic location. As women living in the 21st century, we still have to contend with Neanderthal concepts of a woman's place and function. It baffles me that there's no greater outcry and/or action against acts of violence committed against women and children in our society. And I'm speaking here of only the reported cases of such violence, which is or underreported, particularly in our rural and hinterland areas. Worse, some women have been socialized to accept the concept that they have to be beaten and mannersed by their partners. If our country is to achieve its fullest potential, this must change. Our women have to be equal partners in the growth and development of our country. Over the years, I've come to understand that women's empowerment is underpinned by education. It is through education that a woman begins to level the playing field. It is through education that she gains employment and moves forward and upward in her chosen career. It is through education that she improves her economic viability and that of her family. It is through education that she gains confidence in herself and empowers herself. And to do this, we women have to be thinking of and for ourselves. Women have to step outside of the boxes into which they are placed to follow and fulfill their dreams. This occurs in the home, in the community, and in the world of work. And Beverly would have mentioned some instances in her experience. And it is particularly so, as was referred to before, in the world of business. Given the theme of this conference, Powerful from Inspiration to Action, I started thinking about the women who had gained success in their various fields of endeavor. And I found that there is not a single formula for success. Rather, the key for each woman is to find and fuel her passion. Of course, this demands a level of self-confidence. But once she does that, she sets her goals and plans how she will achieve her objectives. It is not an easy task, and there will be many challenges along the way, from family, from partners, from friends, from co-workers, and even from total strangers. People tend to get very nervous when a woman speaks and acts in a decisive manner. And in reading about the success stories of women in business, one thing I found stood out, that even though they were nervous, They were not afraid to step out on their own or to work hard to achieve their dreams and to rely on the advice of good mentors. They put in the time and the work to transform their inspiration into action, and for many of them, it paid off. Consider the sisters who have been successful in fashion, finance, cosmetics, catering, home goods, information and communication technologies. Yes, Beverly, they're still minor, but they're coming along. International and regional organizations and institutions, to name a few. They were brave enough to follow their dreams and their aspirations, if you will, with dedication and hard work to achieve the success which they enjoy today. I think, for example, of the author J.K. Rowling, who, despite numerous rejection slips, kept on writing and refining her work until the first Harry Potter book was accepted for publication. And where is J.K. Rowling now? She's a franchise, okay? If we look closer to home, we could be inspired by Robin Fenty, better known as Rihanna, who was a singer, born of a Guyanese mother and a Barbadian father, who could have been content with just being a performer on stage, a famous pop singer, but decided to branch out into the cosmetics industry with a line of products for women of color called Fenty Beauty, and which has really hit the market. And she's not content to just rest on that. She established a foundation which goes around the world helping women and girls. Or go back to America and think of Oprah Winfrey, a television announcer who just parlayed her influence and her ideas into own network, into charitable foundations, into recognition for who she is and what she does as a person. And she also is known for her philanthropy. The biggest obstacle to women fulfilling their dreams, I believe, is low self-esteem. The lack of confidence that makes us afraid to pursue our dreams, to take that leap of faith and venture out on our own, and to, in fact, have the confidence to lead our own path. Not every step will mean success, as has been said before by the previous speakers, and there will be many missteps along the way. But the trick is to learn from the mistakes and move on. More importantly, to have a good support system, a mentor, group, or family or friends who will celebrate your achievements and comfort you when there are setbacks, as there will be. Here at home, I have met many women, seemingly very ordinary women from ordinary backgrounds, who do not recognize the remarkable abundance of skills and talents that they possess. Be they caregivers in the home, cooks specializing in certain dishes, women planting, reaping, and selling the produce from their farms and gardens, designers and makers of craft items, or providers of services. They too have fallen into the trap of allowing themselves to be defined by others. I have also been privileged to see the blossoming of women across this country who participated in the Self-Reliance and Success in Business workshops coordinated by my office, which were originally intended for women, but have also benefited a few men who asked to join. And at first I teased them and I said, okay, I'll make you an honorary woman for the purposes of this workshop. But it was just a joke. I wasn't being serious or trying to belittle them. And they too discovered that when they sat in that workshop with the other women, they were learning how women thought about business. And it helped them to recalibrate how they went about running their businesses and dealing with their customers. And as a matter of fact, right now there's a Self-Reliance and Success in Business workshop taking place in New Amsterdam. And I think we have about 5 gentlemen participating in that one. But over the course of time, these women have learned at the most basic level how to establish, grow, and manage a business. Some of them found ways to improve their businesses, and others formed groups and established businesses such as, for example, a fish processing plant in Region 3 on the west bank of Demerara, a greenhouse and farm in Sophia, a weeding gang in Buxton, and I know there was a contracting group in the Fort Wellington area. And these are some of the success stories that I would like to mention of women coming together and working in groups. And they were able to access loans and grants from microfinance organizations because they learned in the workshop how to write and successfully present their business plans. The range of skills is enormous. It moves, for example, from preserving fruit and manufacturing jams and jellies to designing and making clothing, sheet sets, curtains and household linens, etc., to hairdressing and cosmetology, to jewelry design and manufacture, to manufacturing plant-based soaps and shampoos and cosmetic items from material right in this country, to event planning, to catering, to document production services, and so on. And I'd like to intervene here because we have quite a few women who want to do event planning, and they're always talking about weddings and celebrations and so on. And I said, what about funerals? And they kind of look at me, I said, yeah, you know, that's also another field in which you should think of offering your services, because a bereaved family will be very happy to let someone take on that organization and planning of all the things that go with a funeral. Anyway, that's by the way. But one thing our previous speaker mentioned, I want to encapsulate them for the women who want to go into business. I think you require three things basically: focus, decide what you're going to do, and understand what you're getting into. Time management. I sat here and I looked at people coming in at different times, and I thought, if you want to be a successful business, you better get your time factor into place. It is important, it's vital, because other people's time is as important as yours. And data. I was trying to get information on women in business in Guyana. And I called a friend of mine at one organization, and I got the response. The last thing we had was 1994 to 95. I called the small business unit, and I got some slightly more updated information. But I couldn't get the disaggregated data. How many women got loans in relation to how many men? What was the quantum of the loan as opposed males, females? What areas? It means that if we're thinking about developing and growing, we have to start from an information-based environment if we want to compete in the modern world. And you have to move fast. This is where time comes in again. And you have to be prepared. So I wanted to share those with you because I think this is going to be a very exciting experience for many women here. I looked at the schedule, I looked at the cornucopia of events and the different panels that will be here. And I really think it could be exciting and an avenue for growth, not only in the networking, but in what you're going to be able to learn and also to share. Because it's not a one-way street, I think. It's a give and take. And so with that, I want to wish you all a productive conference. Thank you.